right, now that I'm home and I got some sleep last night, so I feel a little fresher. I still feel kind of weird. Like yesterday was the worst because if I get woke up and I'm in a deep, I don't know, dream state, whatever those, especially when you're in deep and you actually feel you're there. Whatever waves those are, I don't know, beta, theta, I don't know all the science of that part. Maybe it's gamma waves, I'm not sure. But you're in a certain wave, and then if I get woke up out of that, I can never get into a fully conscious wave. I have to do it like a progression or something, apparently, because when I get woke up in that state by some artificial means, like Stella, you can hear snoring back there, that, yeah, I'll just stay in that. It's like, I don't even know, like being in a fog or being in a dream all day. It's a totally different. I don't know. It's weird, but it's kind of makes you really tired and out of it. And, anyway, so I've had lots of more time now to think about things and, reconnect. There's so much, you have to constantly, that's one thing I think as human beings that we are, we got to get in touch with ourselves, is that we need time to center. We are energy. We're being affected by other energy. And you need downtime. You need to, not only take care of your vehicle, but you also need time to park it. Let it regroup. Let it think for itself instead of all this information coming in at it all the time. And so, today when I got up, I went on, there was like, I like to do that thing about the messages and stuff, and there wasn't really anything. So I was like, okay, there's no, they did give me a bunch of messages like yesterday and last night. I kept asking, like, what is it? What am I supposed to see from this experience? For one thing, I just felt really good that I was able to stay grounded, not get caught up in someone else's opinions of me. You can have your opinions of me, but probably you may want to start recognizing those opinions of me are coming from within you. I'm not giving you those opinions. I'm showing myself, and you interpret them and you judge them, and then you put your opinion out there. So there's a lot about us. Well, I think as we go more into telepathy, there'll be a lot less these discussions, a lot of words. And words have been used as such manipulation, and we're seeing it right now. We're seeing these twists of these words, like language has been very manipulated. So anyways, when I put this on this morning, it was somebody who usually, this thing that popped up, it was somebody who usually always talks about like current events and things that are going on behind the scenes and stuff like that. So I was like, and it was live. When I catch something live, I don't know, it just makes you feel kind of connected. So sometimes I like to go on and listen to people talk live. And so he was talking, but it wasn't anything about any of that stuff. It was only about spiritual stuff. So I was like, oh, weird. So this guy is, coming at it from spiritual perspective. I was like, huh, that's interesting. Like I knew a lot of the people who were, when I started looking for information, I knew that there was a lot of people who, I don't know, the people who call themselves red pill, the ones that think that they're red pilling everyone by trying to get them to realize that there's lies going on, and the controllers, the government, the corporations, all, they're all together in this mass conspiracy against humanity. And so they're doing that, but they all kind of have a, I think of them as kind of like the bread and butter of America, the small town America. They couldn't be in big cities too. I'm not saying they're all like little townsy people, but there is a kind of a mindset or a American tradition or something that they all kind of seem like they hold, and it has to do with church and stuff like that. So they all can see like, what's happening. But they don't look at it on the same level as like the spiritual people. Like a lot of spiritual people, they're talking about different things. They're talking about, ascension, the event, psychic powers, connecting with other beings and stuff like that. Connecting with yourself, meditation, vibration, how to eat, all those kinds of things. So they don't talk so much about current events. And then the people who were on, who were trying to tell people like, oh, this is what's going on, this is what's going on. I started noticing that, especially when the stuff went down in November, and all of a sudden then they started seeing, like, I don't know, it was like suddenly all of a sudden this light switch went on for all these people, and they were like, oh, this is what's going on. This is about this. Oh my gosh, and they started waking up and they started talking a lot more on a spiritual level. And I was like, oh man, that's so cool. It is. And I knew that the religious people, they just, they need to, these are my opinions. And that's the thing too, is, I feel like I need to clarify, I'm not trying to tell anybody how to think. I'm somebody who went through a lot of loss, a lot of things over the past, I got my brain injury, like 10 years ago, but I still was going through trauma. I mean, the brain injury was to get me on track, to get me off my path, because I was so determined to make this work, whatever I was doing, And so I can see that now. I couldn't see it then. It just felt like, being beat down by the world. And it was one thing after another. So I went through a lot of loss, having to lose this person who I thought I had become, who I thought I had made, who I thought was following all the rules. It didn't make any sense. And so all of this loss of identity, these loss of certain three-dimensional concepts like time and memory and resentment and stuff like that. I started losing these concepts naturally. I didn't have to work on them as much. So it started becoming more clear about them. So then I started realizing, this brain thing wasn't all that bad. I'm starting to, it was horrible for years. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I'm not saying like, I've met people now who are going through it at different stages. I'm 10 years. I've lived a while like this. And you just start, doing a lot of evaluation, and so much evaluation comes with hindsight. That's why age is such a blessing, and they should stop. As a society, we've been trained to think it's bad, that old people are stupid, they're annoying, they can't do this, they can't, all this kind of stuff. It's like, no, aging is a gift of life for insight and foresight. Wait, is it foresight? Ooh, I get mixed up on my words. So, but you get when you can look back and you can see, you get a new perspective. You see things in another way. You get such a broader thing, and you get that generational vision of how things and people are affected by the other generations and what the other generations have gone through and how we all affect one another. So you get so much more insight with aging, and we should all be just like, aging is definitely an experience that a soul would want to go through. And, maybe that's part of my mission here, is to help people get the idea that aging is excellent. And there's so many people who are manifesting disease and sickness and stuff as they age because of how they feel about aging and feel about themselves and how they feel from their feedback from the world. Because they have definitely, the people who are old right now have definitely not been taught to, to detach from, there's a lot of manipulation going way back. We can see so much manipulation happening right now of information and how they've done each generation a certain thing. But that generation has not known about healing, self-reflection, a different way of looking at things, So they've had very defined rules, very defined. And that was part of the 60s revolution, was going against that. Those were their parents. They were going against, and they were going to, make this new world. It was just a little premature because it's coming, but it was the start. It was where humanity started breaking free from a lot of the parameters, a lot of what we built the society on. And it has all been built up on rules. And like I said, you know, even when we want to say, oh yeah, we're enslaved and the corporation is taking over and stuff, but we were part of it. They didn't just do it. We helped them. Here, take my successful company. I don't need it. You know, buy it out for me so I can be a millionaire for a couple weeks. I feel successful. You know, be frivolous, show off, be ego. We've been very ego driven, and there has been manipulation, there has been training and stuff like that, but still, we do it too. We're not the victims. Everything is victim, victim, victim. This victim mindset is holding people back so much from their personal growth. Man, I'm having a hard time to be able to catch my breath. I feel like I'm, like when I get like that, I was like that at a point on the weekend, you know, and they're just like, man, you seem like you're on drugs. And I said, I know, I get like these chemicals in me. And it's like, I gotta. And then once I get it out, then I feel like, oh, okay, now I feel calm. But yeah, I feel the stuff inside of me, like, it's bursting to get out. And there was so much stuff that got brought up to me. And when I was listening to him, well, over the whole weekend, I mean, there was so many things. Even after I talked last night, I was just so exhausted. I couldn't even keep my eyes open. But I kept having things coming to me like, oh, don't forget you wanted to talk about this and that. And it's like, oh, wow, there's so many things. But anyways, so my whole purpose to me is I went through a lot of stuff. And I got in touch with a side of myself that I had lost from being a child. You know, I had got caught up in the, whatever you want to call it, you know, the human experience on earth of survival and battling fear, you know, conquering the dragon. I was caught up in that too. And so it gave me such new ways of being on the planet once I went through all of this loss and regrowth and rebuilding and having to figure myself out. And in that process, I started getting a lot more information where I felt like I was back connected. Because I talked about when I was a kid, I could hear them talking all the time, whatever you want to call them. I don't need labels. Apparently everyone is very stuck on labels and a judgment, and they just they think it's like moving into the higher dimensions because they can see it. But the whole thing is yeah, you can see it, but you got to realize that there is no good or bad. There's good and bad in every single thing. It's where you're focused. Are you only focusing on the bad perspective, the bad part of what this causes, or do you see the good part too? And can you find balance? Can you see that bad can create good? You can't just demonize bad and evil, or you know what I mean? And that's the thing, is like on a three-dimensional world, you know, it gets into these labels and gods and devils and, you know, the evil energy and stuff like that. There has to be positive and negative to find the balance. You can't just have all positive, because how would you even know what negative was? Just like you can't have all negative without ever knowing what positive was. You have to have the experience of both. You have to find, like, when things are happening, how do I get through it? What do I focus on? Where do I focus my energy? What is best for me? Does one energy make me feel worse? Does one energy make me feel better? Does one make me feel more connected? Like, you know, that's connecting with yourself to get in there and try and understand that there is no good and bad, and get off the fucking labels. Quit thinking that everything has to be named and labeled, and it doesn't. It just is. It just is. That's all it is. And this yesterday too, when I was talking about with the words, you know, and the not understanding until you're ready to understand. Because like, how long was that? Let go, let God. I mean, that was around for, I don't know, a long time. I would see it all the time, and I would see it and I would just think, oh, those people are religious. I must be somebody who's religious, you know, I'd see that. And then all of a sudden during this phase of my life, this journey of finding myself, that let go, let God. Just all of a sudden it just clicked. And I was just like, oh, you just got to let go. You just got to let it be. Let things happen. Don't fight the current all the time. And that is like so much of why I talk about the things I talk about and the approaches. Because there's other people going through things and, you know, they're looking for somebody to also say, you know, because it's easy to get stuck and it's easy to feel beat down. So to me, you know, I'm not trying, I have my opinions about everything. I probably wouldn't find very much stuff that I don't have an opinion about unless I just know nothing about either side or I only know about one side or whatever. But, oh gosh, these dogs. But I do have opinions about things, you know. And so yeah, I share my opinions when I'm talking and I share how I come at problems and stuff, but it's not to try and tell somebody you have to do it like me. I'm trying to just give other people like, oh, she did it this way, it might work for me, I'm going to try that. Or, oh, I hadn't thought of that. Or, you know, listening to somebody talk about so many people get depressed, you know, crawl in a fetus position in their room, turn all the lights off, don't want to eat, don't want to drink, don't want any stimulation. And okay, you know, that's good for, you know, a few days, maybe a few weeks. But there has to be a point that in you, that you find the drive to say, okay, we've rested. We've got to, you know, we've got to pull ourselves out of this. We need some light. We need some music. We need some energy. We need to feel. Because once you start feeling, you pull yourself up. You pull yourself out of it. But yeah, sometimes we need a break from life. We need to unplug. We need to just go and just regroup. And depending on how far you've pushed it, how much you've taken in and how much you've tried to shield yourself, you know, it depends on how long you need that time to take care of yourself. You know, and that's where nobody can tell anybody anything about that. You have to go inside yourself. You just need to know what tools are available. Oh, I heard this person say, you know, that. Because there was people on Twitter, when I was on Twitter, shockingly, there was a lot of people who would message out like, you know, I'm suicidal. I'm at the end of it, people. I don't know what to do. I'm falling apart and shit, you know, asking, putting out feelers, somebody please help me. And, you know, I mean, everybody is there. Most people want to help if they know someone's in crisis. Most people don't just walk by and ignore it. Most people are like, what can I do? How can I help? And, you know, so I would put out there what I would do. You know, when you're ready to get out of it, you got to turn on the music and stuff. Getting out of something is not just happen naturally all the time. You know, it may happen naturally for some people. Some people, they may just have the chemical balance that their body just goes into the rhythm, goes down. They're out for a couple days. They can't deal with anything. They won't talk to anybody. Then they pull themselves up. It's a little bit bipolar, but everything's a spectrum. Doesn't matter. We don't need to judge it. That's their way of being. But there's other ones that you get down there and you can't. You don't have that chemical balance. I wasn't born with that naturally. My grandma died of depression. She died of a clinical depression. There was no reason for her to die other than she was just sad, just felt defeated, perfectly healthy. But, you know, life was kicking her ass the whole time. And she, you know, she just felt like a can just beat up after years and years and years of being kicked down the street. And that's what I'm saying about that generation. They didn't get taught any of the stuff that we've all had the privilege of learning and sharing. And they want to keep us fighting generation to generation so we don't continue because they don't want us to share. They don't want us to grow as humanity. They like having control. And, but even with all of this stuff, because I have been so like the whole time, like break free of the matrix. We got to get out of this fucking matrix. Wake up, you know, spark some thoughts, think for yourself. Evaluate, reevaluate, you know, look into things. And, But even that right there is being judgmental. And when I heard that guy talking, I really like that. Marco DiStefano, I think his name is. I really like him. Yesterday, now I caught up on his show. It's not 13 seasons. It's 2 seasons, and now we're on the 3rd or 4th episode of the 3rd season. So now I've already caught up. And he is so interesting and so knowledgeable. And so I was caught up. I went on another show. It popped up, at the bottom, where it's like another show like this. And it was Ancient Civilizations, and it was about language and hieroglyphics. But anyways, he comes on to other shows. Probably Gaia Planet uses all the same kind of people. That's probably how I saw David Wilcock all the time, was watching Gaia Planet. But anyways, he's very interesting. And that brings me also back to, the guy I was watching this morning. I had no idea he was spiritual. Stella, what is it? What is it? Oh, there's so much competition still going on between these two girls. It's emotional. Oh my gosh. Stuff that she would let Winston do. I don't know. Because Trixie wants to do it too. Like, how dare you? It's like, oh my gosh. There's so much talking. And I'm constantly trying to get them to understand choice and being thoughtful. Like, I keep trying to get them to expand their consciousness and their awareness. So Stella's been having a hard time. She had a really hard time with the person here this weekend. And she stayed outside almost the whole time, just pouting and pouting. She just walked around like, oh, poor me. And she hates it when people take her spot on the couch. Oh, her feelings are so hurt. But so the guy this morning, I didn't even know he was anything spiritual. I thought it was just going to be an update on like, oh, there's DC and the tribunal, all that stuff that you go on and hear about. And he starts talking all this spiritual stuff. And he's talking about he talks to the Palladians all the time. So I don't know if he has sit-down dinners, I don't know. Maybe he does. But to me, because even the guy who I like, that Stefano guy, that's channeling. It's called channeling. If you're talking to someone who's not there, that you're not sitting down, touching them, not the phone and all that stuff, but I'm talking face-to-face talking. Then if you are getting the communication, like Tesla, he was channeling the whole time. People are channeling. You're picking up energy that is communicating with you. And so he was saying, all this information he gets from the Palladians, which was the same stuff that, I get from my guides. And then the next question, hold on. It's drama. Okay, go outside. I don't know what Stella has done to her legs either. Oh, I gotta get more medicine. She can barely walk. Oh, and that always stresses me out. And it's like, oh my God, don't want anything to happen to her. But so channeling is, being open and receiving the information and stuff. And that's why, I think of, for mine, they're trying to make sure that I understand, yes, we're giving you accurate information, because they'll bring it to me where someone else is talking about it after. And then you kind of see like who's talking about what, because they'll bring me the information. And so, yeah, today when they brought me that, and he was talking a lot about the 3rd, 4th dimension. Some of the stuff he was saying, I was like, yeah, that stuff is right on. That's right on. But it would still flip in, his description would go into this 3-dimensional way of looking at things, like devils and angels, and don't talk like that. Don't. And that's not what we're headed to, in my opinion. We're not headed to restriction and anyone telling us how to behave, or we're definitely moving away from labeling energy and judging it and deciding what's good and what's bad. And that may still be a process. And it's funny too, because I've heard people sit there and say like, well, the 4th dimension, that's where the ghosts are. So when we go in the 4th dimension, that's why you start seeing things around your house and hearing things and all this stuff. And then the fifth dimension, there's people living there. So when we go into the fifth dimension, we'll be living with these higher consciousness beings and stuff like that. And I see it like, because to me, like, I really like the way that DiStefano, whatever, I love the way he explains some of the stuff about as a soul, as becoming, in the cell division, creating geometry in this whole thing, all of us, what we are. And I how he explains it is how I see it, how I've been shown in my own head of how things are. And so when, the first dimension, it has this thing of, is that the part, because you're not even to the I am. Yeah, I am is up here. The coming to your first conscious awareness that you are just even anything. Maybe it is the I am is the first thing. Wait, I am something. I can do something. Then, you move into the second dimension of experience or something. The third is physical experience. And then the fourth, like, it goes kind of like that. So it's a conscious kind of movement or something of understanding what you are as the energy, as you are creating what you are. And so, yeah, there's things that are outside of bodies in the fourth dimension, but there's things outside of bodies everywhere. It's just you have no awareness of it because you have no conscious awareness, because you're just figuring out that you're actually consciousness. You're actually an actual being. You're actually an actual being in control of something else that you created. And you're creating your entire experience by, are you looking at positive? Are you looking at negative? Where's your focus? Are you able to control intent? Do you understand intent? Do you understand manifestation? Do you understand these abilities as they go? Because the abilities that we're going to have as we continue to progress only get a lot more, like the telepathy. When people start actually using it, a lot of people are starting to wake up that they have these abilities, but they haven't even gotten that much practice yet. But we're moving into that, kinetic kind of, being able to bend a spoon, levitation, all this stuff. Once we can understand what we are, then we can start playing with, like, okay, so how much control do I have? I have control of energy. I have control of physical matter because I am manifesting, I'm creating this experience as a powerful soul. So once I get the idea of, like, okay, I am a being, then is like to master, like, what can you do? What can you move? And that's like what I was talking about before a while back about, like, the gurus and stuff, like up in the Himalayas, they're levitating and stuff like that. It's all an expansion of their consciousness of what can they control. And we're going to move up more and more and more and see more and more what we can control and stop seeing ourselves as just like, humans right now, they don't see themselves as any more conscious awareness than my dog does. They're all a victim to the world. It's not my fault. I can't help that. This is, come on, spark a life. Get some thoughts going. And so when he was saying that, I thought that there was some good stuff he was saying, but then it goes back to that. And I told you I don't listen to spiritual people talk anymore because it just confuses my head. Even when I was listening to the one guy who was talking about the Atlantis history and stuff like that, there would still be things like, okay, I gotta keep centered. I can't just like, but there was so much stuff that he was saying. It was just like, oh yeah, that's like, he just says it different. But that is the whole thing with perception and translation. And that is also what that guy was talking this morning. He goes, if you're going to a channeler, you got to put your trust in their translation. That's what I keep saying. You have to. It's all a translation. And as human beings, it is by your own discernment. So if you hear something from somebody, because he's like all, well, we're in the fourth dimension right now. So all these channelers are being misled because there's these demon energies. They have control over the fourth dimension. They're in control of it. I don't, stuff has been moving all around my house ever since after this weekend. I saged it this morning. I was like, man, there's some trapped energy. I got to clear this up. Still doing it though. I don't know. Just energy just that's something out of the corner of my eye. And that's another thing too with my vision is just getting where I notice this so much doing all this driving in the past couple of weeks. Because like with the glaucoma, it closes in. It's like some kind of tunnel. So you don't realize that you're losing peripheral vision. And then you're only seeing what's in front of you, kind of like the conscious of a dog. But you have to have conscious awareness to know there's more than just this little thing. But then I have the other thing in my eyes, and I don't know if it's from all their treatments to try and solve my glaucoma, because it matches so much of what my mom's going through with this macular degeneration, and they start giving her shots, freaking shots in her eyeball. And now it's like every few weeks. And now she found out like that each shot is, I don't know, $20,000 or something. Maybe it was $1,300 and she has to pay $300 for each shot. I don't know. It was a lot of money for somebody, especially, an old retired woman who's almost 80. And I say almost 80. I told her that the other day, and she's like, almost 80? I'm only 76. It's like, well, I round up. Sorry, Mom, I round up. Okay, so anyways, and he's saying, well, that's the demons are in control of the fourth generation. The channelers, they're just channeling demon information and giving wrong information. Okay, I don't know about all that. All I can say is that I don't see, there's negative energy everywhere. There, it is not, that we've moved, we moved out of the negative energy and now we've moved into it. Now it has control. Well, that doesn't jive in my brain, because I feel it's purging out. It can't hold on because the vibration of the planet is going up. Even the planet is ready to take care of itself. It's like, fuck the corporation. I'm going. And, this vibration of just breaking free, of wanting to do more, which was another thing too that I found fascinating. And I probably have said this before, but when I was looking for stuff to buy this house, because I bought stuff for the house before I ever even saw the house. And, when I started putting stuff around, I started being like, oh my gosh, this is so weird. It just fit like, oh my God, this fits exactly like by size, by everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, you can see like they were helping me beforehand. But I bought so many birds. I'd never bought so many birds before. I was suddenly having all these birds. And then everything that I was going through like in 2020 and stuff, then all of a sudden it was like, and I watched tarot a lot. And when I started finding out like the meaning of what it is, was like, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense that they were guiding me towards birds, because this was going to be a transformative time for me. I was going to break free. This is breaking free. To realize your own self-worth is breaking free from a system that wants to corrupt your mind and, make you doubt yourself and feel horrible about yourself. I mean, to the point where, people are going in and surgically changing their bodies and faces, taking away their abilities to reproduce on the planet. People are so manipulated right now. It's so crazy. But anyways, in Tesla, so many scientists, so many artists, so many people, creators have come out and said that before they create, they go into a they are aware there is communication coming outside of themselves, and they're listening and they're writing it down, taking that information. And in Tesla's case, free energy. Okay, so was that coming from the devils of the fourth? They wanted us to have free energy because they, some of the ways that people look at stuff is just like, to me, it's just not logical, because I don't know. I don't know. Just to sit there and say channeling is bad and negative, I just think is, the wrong way to go. To me, it's like everybody needs to find their abilities in themselves to be able to channel, to be able to tap into what is out there. You have to trust and you have to tap in, and it's all by discernment. Like I said before, I mean, if you're getting messages and the messages are going to make you feel bad, make someone else feel bad, then reevaluate. But, if it's positive and it makes you feel good and you feel like you're putting a good energy imprint out there, you're creating joy, you're creating happiness, you're bringing love to the table, then, it is all by discernment of how you have to decide, whatever information you're getting, and what information you share. Because you'll find you share too much, yeah, you'll get attacked. And you got to remember, it's all in translation. It is all because they'll show you in, they show like in analogies and symbolism and pictures and stuff like that. But you have to translate. And we're not all so perfect at it yet. But you have to translate the information that's being given to you. And sometimes you just get it's almost like a whole story of something just imprinted immediately in your brain. And you have all oh, I get that. Why didn't I see that before? How weird. God, these dogs are going to drive me crazy. Oh. Okay. He's coming to lay down, you guys. Those are teenage girls. Okay. So, anyways, I know, so sweet girl. Oh, my baby. Oh, honey. But anyways, so when you're listening to a channel or whatever, there's people who think from their translations, they understand specific things, like they can share dates and times and stuff like that. I think that's a lot more setting yourself up for failure. I mean, any of the stuff, that you get, I've said before, I can say what I'm shown, but it's still waiting. I'm waiting to see how stuff plays out, just like everyone else. Oh my God, please don't knock over my table. How many times you guys got it? It becomes this competition, like, oh, I'm going to get closer. I'm going to get closer. Till they give me no space whatsoever. Oh my God. Ugh. Oh my gosh. She's fought for this space on this. Had the most meltdown because Trixie was laying in her spot. Just going and pouting, laying over on one part of the couch and just looking at me like, why? Why did you do this? And I go over and try and talk to her and stuff. And I showed her, you go lay down there all the time. Go lay down there, share your space. That's how we got to do it. When people come, they always sit in my chair. It's what you got to do. Share your space. That's how we do it. And, but, because Trixie's not sitting there, then she goes right down there. No problem. Now Trixie got up there. So, yeah, see how long that takes before Stella's like, well, that's really the spot I wanted. You're in my spot. But I can get it. I'm not going to judge Stella because I totally get it. She has charge of her life. And when anyone comes to interfere, she gets excited to see people. But I think after about 2 hours, she's like, okay, you can go. This is my house. I don't need you here anymore. It was nice seeing you, but goodbye. Because, a dog gets put by most people. They don't think like they'll go and sit in her spot. She'll walk up and she'll just sit and stare at them, or she'll just sit and cry right in their face. Sometimes she'll bark. It depends, because the dog picks up on, how far they can push somebody. So yeah, some people, they'll just go up and sit and stare. Some they'll cry. Some she'll bark at or whatever. Sometimes with Trixie, she'll just sit and stare at her, just stand, and she'll get a little bit closer. And then all of a sudden she'll just lunge at her. And yeah, there's so many things that Stella does. It's so large cat. Like she and she's bigger than the big mountain lions out here. she's a big old girl. So, anyways, back to the thing I was talking about. So, to me, if you're saying like the fourth dimension, so the three-dimensional, that we're, I don't know, I can't put all that stuff together. Like, I don't understand it. Just like this weekend when somebody's telling me the philosophy of their side, it's like, I don't understand that. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense in my head. So I can't. And like I was telling my mom, because there's so many people who are such doomsdayers and stuff. And then like, I don't see that. It's not in my vision. I don't see things being that way. Yeah, we're going to go through some stuff, and I don't know when exactly it's going to end, but I know where we're going, and I know why I'm here. And so I'm not here for, re-experience the Holocaust or something. So, yeah, but, oh, and that's another thing he was talking about too. So he started talking about the event, or people were asking questions about it. And so there's a lot of people talking about it, when I was talking about the other day, or I mean, it keeps coming up in my head. And then after I was talking about it, then I heard David Wilcock talking about it. So it's like, it's coming back through, because I hadn't heard about this in a while, but then I've been staying away from listening to spiritual people talk. Because all the groups all get in their own little niche, and they all just sit and only talk. And then when they run out of shit to talk about, they start talking shit about each other. And like, that person's wrong, that person's wrong, that person's wrong. All the communities. Like right now, there's so much fighting in all these different communities between the people who all thought that they were it's like, you guys, because you can't focus all the stuff. It's out of balance. You can't do that. You got to, not put all your focus on one thing. You need to pull it back. Focus on other things. Focus on the joy of life. Focus on what you're here for. You're here for experience. You're here for joy. You're here to become in communion with nature. Focus on that sometimes. Oh, my throat's starting to scratch. And I always, it's like, okay, so am I saying the right thing or saying the wrong thing? Like, why am I being alarmed in my throat chakra? But anyway, so then I'll just go back to the event thing. So when he was talking about, I liked hearing his perspective too, because it goes to the one where his way of saying it was kind of like, whatever reality that you are creating, like right now. So to me, I'm creating a reality that is based on love, community, unity, socialization, bartering, independence, travel, experience, journey, love, being respectful of not just other human beings, but of all living creatures, of all living things. So that's like the reality that I see, that I'm focused on. So then talking to someone else, and they're focused on, no, we've got to have racism, and we got to find balance in that. We're real stuck on that. We got to do that. And, people who are like, oh, no, I'm really stuck. We got to form politics. We got to form, all that. So how I took what he was saying, see, translation. So how I took what he was saying is like, all of us we have our reality, what we see, that those will be created when this event happens, when the solar flash happens. And he was talking about, well, yeah, we already had the one, which, most everybody knows. That's why the Schumann, I think that's around the time that the Schumann thing started really monitoring, because they started seeing like, oh, we're getting these solar flashes and stuff. And there has been a lot. And he said they haven't done much, but really it's bringing in this energy of change, of like waking up and stuff. So it's been definitely doing a lot. So many people have been becoming aware. Even the people who are not aware right now are still getting awareness sparked in them. They just don't have the full picture. They're just getting little bits like, oh, wake up to this, but I keep thinking that it's going to be you know, this one thing that's going to happen. This is different from the event, but it will be an event. And like I said yesterday, it's going to be something that's going to scare the shit out of people, where they think that they're going to die. They're come to Jesus moment. The moment that they're out in the life raft, out in the middle of the ocean by themselves, and they haven't seen another human being for years. Who are you going to talk to? Talk to God. So that's the coming to Jesus moment, and that's what's about to occur. That's how I see it. Something big's going to happen, and it's going to bring people together. It's going to make them see the truth, see the manipulation. Then they've got to go through the whole thing of what I had to go through in that moment of loss, in that moment of like, who the fuck am I? What am I? You know, I've lost all. I had a plan. Like, what's happening? They're all going to have to go through that. That's why I share this stuff, because everybody has to go through this loss, and then there's a whole rebuilding yourself. And I talk about it all the time. And that's what I 100% believe what's happening. And then at some point, there's going to be the solar flash, the cosmic event that is going to just, it is like the Big Bang again. And there will be universes that will be created, and they'll be back to where we were. But we get to go 26,000 years of humanity, of working on polarity. And or so many, I mean, that wasn't just the age of Pisces. There was a lot of different ages, but there was so many different time periods to learn as a species. They bring us to this part now. And there's so many souls that are from upper that have come down, you know, been reborn to just like the tree of life, and been reborn. So to help others to understand it, to move forward. And so, fuck, I don't know. Maybe it's the ones who've ascended before. Maybe we'll, you know, hold the hands of a couple and get a couple more. I don't know how it's going to be. I don't know if it is going to be, you know, the solar event's going to happen, and we've all decided where we're going, and everyone's going to go to those places. Because I kept seeing it as that we all get this opportunity to grow as a soul, to get in touch with yourself, so that when the solar flash occurs and we move up into this more, this different kind of reality. He was talking about it's a physical reality, like you can touch their spaceships, you can, and stuff like that in the fifth, which I believe that a lot of the stuff is physical. It's not just three-dimensional, it's physical, but like when you go up, say, fifth dimensional, whatever, if it's physical, you just know you have more like creation ability. Like you have more able to make things the way you want them. So, and that would make sense too about the body thing, because that's the thing that kept throwing me, like, because there were so many people saying about the light body, and you know, there's definitely changes occurring. I mean, there's definitely, they had, I mean, parts of our brain haven't been working, our DNA has been turned, like there's whole parts of human beings that have not been turned on, that will be turned on. Oh, and that was something interesting too he was talking about, because he was talking about, somebody asked something about, I think it was brains, like, and about being psychic and stuff like that. And he was saying that there's these parts of our, I mean, parts of us that with our minds that they say we only use like 10% or something. He said that other part still has something it's there for, because if it hadn't, it would have atrophied. So it's going to get turned back on. I was like, oh yeah, because yeah, in evolution as a being, when you don't need something, you stop having it. And that's why, like, other aliens in other places, other beings and other planets and stuff, like, yeah, some of them, they don't need a nose. They don't use air like we use air. They don't need it to survive. And, you know, maybe they don't need hands, and, you know, all these different things. Like, I had heard a long time ago something about the Earth being a 5-finger planet, and there's been 4-finger planets, 6-finger planets. I think this one was 6 before, but there was a mix with us with other aliens. So, you know, there could have been 6-finger ones that had kids with some other ones, and that's why, sometimes we've had some 6-finger people or whatever, because we've got all this mix of this DNA that we have been lied to about. But if that is, there's something about 4-finger one, 5-finger ones and 4-finger ones, their approaches on life is different. And just like if you are on a planet that has death, then your approach to life is different. When he was talking about that there's some planets that they don't have pets. They don't understand, like, what does a pet do for you? Why do you have a pet? I don't get where he's getting his information if he's not channeling. Because if he's got spaceships just parking out front and coming in for coffee to explain the way of the world to him, let's all go over. I'd love to be a part. We know the government's doing that. We know the government has sit-downs. And there's some human beings that do, they'll come in and talk to him. But I think a lot of it is in a different state of consciousness. It's not just like, hey, knock at the door. But they are out around us. But we are the unstable ones. Don't forget, we're the dynamite. We're the ones who are the scary ones, not them. Just like the spiders, How can we look at a spider? It's hanging off of a web, just trying to spend all day making this web. It's so thankful. Now it's going to go in. It's going to get some dinner for all its work. And then people just come and just smack it down and kill it. And it's like, who's scarier? The spider? It's tiny. Who's, we are the giants. And in our past history, we have the giants against us. We've had our free will impeded on or manipulated or whatever. So, yeah, I just think people are just going to start seeing things in a new perspective. That's why I share mine. That's all I can do. But it's so weird when you hear people, some of the stuff that they're saying, especially people who, think that they see things, because it should, to me, there should be no labels, no judgment, taking responsibility for self, taking care of self. That's the way I see it. Keep going with that. But, yeah, all this, I don't know. We got to get the angels to fight the devils. And it's fantasy talk to me. Just like thinking that, there's a hairy guy up there with a robe on who wants you to wash his feet and kiss him and sing for him for eternity. And then the other guy with the horns who's got to work so hard to get our souls. It's like, I don't know. It's a very fairy tale way of looking at life to me. So I don't know. And then when you hear some of the stuff that everybody's saying. But I don't think that, there's so many people who are trying to share spiritual information and they want money for it and stuff. And I don't see the universe as working like that. I see it as you put out, the universe will give back. So whatever you're putting out, if you trust the universe is going to go, oh, I see, we're in a flow here. Yeah, let me give you back. And, they give back. You don't have to charge people to talk to you, to have information, I think that kind of defeats the purpose of unification and sharing and stuff. So, I don't know. We could be way further away than... Sometimes I just hear people talking, and I'm just like, oh man, I thought we were closer than this. But then we have the good part of like, man, people are talking about things that I didn't even know that they knew about. I would have thought that person would have been talking about the Bible, not about the Pleiadians. So, yeah, that to me was positive for somebody to be getting interviewed and to be talking about the Pleiadians, even though the channeling thing, I just don't get that. As far as anyone who I have ever heard of that speaks of the Pleiadians or channelers. So, yeah, I just don't understand the attack on the channelers. So, I don't know. Anyways, I've rambled, and it's so early still. And I don't even know if I've completed a sentence. That was one thing that I heard all this weekend. You never complete a sentence. Well, I have a lot of things coming at me at once. I'm trying to say a whole lot of stuff. I don't know. Probably don't ever complete a sentence. So hopefully I make sense to somebody. That's all I can do. Okay, well, have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. And just remember, focus on you. That's the only thing you can control. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.